Top 5 baits to catch king salmon in creeks, rivers, and streams. What's up, guys? My name is Will Mallon. I'm the owner of First Light Fishing Company. I'm an angler with over a decade of fishing experience, and in today's video, I'm going to go over the top 5 most effective baits and lures to grow creeks, rivers, and streams for these fall run king salmon. We're going to go from 5 to 1, where all these baits work, but number 1 will be my favorite. Make sure you watch the whole video so you don't miss out on any tips, tricks, or secrets to catch more fish out on the water this season. So, number 5 is the spinner. Now, the spinner is a fantastic bait for getting these king salmon to bite. The way the blade spins, it really pisses them off, and they want to smack it just to eradicate it. Spinner, some great ones to throw are the Blue Fox Vibrax spinners in chartreuse, pink, fire tiger colors, size 4 or size 5. Make sure you check your local regulations for all these baits to make sure they're legal to where you fish. But where I fish, if the bait sinks, you have to have a single hook point. So the Blue Fox come with a single hook as well as a treble hook. What I typically do is cut off the treble hook and put on the single hook. That way you're legal out on the water. A lot of people say that king salmon don't eat once they enter the rivers, and that is true. They don't eat, but they do bite. They will attack out of aggression. They're not eating out of hunger, but that doesn't mean they won't attack and get them in the mouth where they're willingly eating instead of a lot of guys flossing or snagging these fish. All the baits on this list are ways to get them to actually attack or bite or eat your lure. Next up, number 4, we have the crankbait. The crankbait, along the same lines as the spinner, it just pisses them off. The crazy action going right by their face, it pisses them off and they want to smack it. Some great ones to throw are Rapala, J11s, and J13s, depending on how big a lure you want to throw, in a fire tiger pattern, as well as the flatfish and quickfish series, size 9 and 11, are fantastic. Get the brightest colors you can get for the quickfish and flatfish. What I have done in the past is get a chrome one and then take nail polish, orange, chartreuse, pink, black, and just go crazy over the whole thing. Make it as obnoxious as possible, and you'll catch a lot more fish. Just something about the flatfish. The rapalas are great too. You can cast them farther, but the flatfish in the rivers, just something about it, just the action just pisses them off, and they smack it. Like, I'll toss a photo on the screen of a salmon last season my dad got. His first cast of the season, it never goes this way, but his first cast of the season, he cast it out, closed his bail, let the current kind of wiggle it down, big female smacked it. His first cast of the season, and he landed the fish. Be careful on Salmon River. On Salmon River during salmon season, September, October, parts of November, you can only have a single hook point no matter what. So even on the flatfish, you have to have a single hook point. I like to run it on a bead chain, so it's a little bit back off the back of the bait and then put a single hook on there. But at Oswego, if your bait floats, you can have as many hook points as you want. So flatfish and rapalas are perfectly legal straight out of the gate on Oswego. Next up, we have beads. The first half of the list, crankbait spinners, that's more so done on spinning gear. This next half of the list will be done on float fishing gear, particularly center pin float fishing setups. So beads. Beads are a fantastic bait for these king salmon. I've hooked hundreds and hundreds of salmon on beads. Some of my absolute favorite colors are trout bead canary glow, Great Lakes atomic yellow, trout bead tangerine, blue robo trip 2.0, lazy Larry atomic orange, and Fish and Freaks killer Kool-Aid. So pretty much chartreuse orange and pink beads, except for the robo trip, but pretty much chartreuse in the morning, orange and pink as the sun starts to come out, and then back to chartreuse towards the end of the day. Kind of maintaining that natural appearance, but still being bright enough to get their attention. Beads are great because these salmon, they're in the rivers to spawn. And from an evolutionary standpoint, they want their babies to survive. So their babies have a higher chance of surviving if everybody else's babies die, because all the salmon had to compete for food out in the lake. So the salmon's mentality is, if I kill as many other salmon eggs, any other potential babies as I can, then my kids will have a better chance of surviving. So anything egg oriented like beads replicate single eggs perfectly, they're going to want to attack it to eradicate it to give their kids a better chance of survival. So beads are a fantastic choice. That's why it's number 3 on my list. Number 2, we have skein. Now skein is one of the most effective baits for salmon. The way that 95% of skein is cured is with a sulfate containing cure. And sulfates, salmon hate sulfates. It pisses them off just like every other bait on this list, so they're going to want to attack it even more. It's eradicating potential other offspring, but it's also the sulfates that just piss them off. On the flip side of this, steelhead rarely touch skein because they don't like sulfates either. And since in the fall they're eating eggs as a food source, they're not going to pick to attack the skein most of the time because it's not as good of a protein source as fresh eggs are. So steelhead don't like sulfates, not going to touch skein. That being said, you will catch them once in a while, but mainly it's a 99% salmon focused bait. My favorite color of skein 100% is pink. I take my skein, I'll make a video on this in the future as well. I use Podski pink fire cure over the whole thing and then let it sit in the fridge overnight. And the next day, I'll take some Podski pink Baraxifier, a nice sprinkling front and back. That kind of toughens it up so it lasts longer on your hook, as well as preserves it so it'll last 1, 2, 3 months in the fridge and 2 to 3 years in the freezer. If you freeze it right, double bag it so it's not getting freezer burn. I've had skein last 2 to even 3 years in the freezer and it's still been great to fish. So that's why skein is number 2 on my list. And the number 1 bait that I choose to throw the most during salmon season is actually egg sacs. And a lot of guys kind of wonder why I'm throwing egg sacs during salmon season. They think that's more of a steelhead oriented bait, which it kind of is. But egg sacs are a phenomenal bait for salmon. They are real salmon eggs, so the salmon's going to want to attack them to eradicate potential other offspring. And they come in a lot of cool colors: blue, lime, yellow, pink, orange, chartreuse. A wide array of colors, so you can run brighter colors in the morning, chartreuse and pink. And then midday, go to a blue or a lime or a yellow or an orange. That way you can kind of change it up and make sure you're throwing the color that they are eating the most. And egg sacs are great. You can bottom bounce them. What I tend to do most of the time is I float fish them. And a really cool part about egg sacs is you end up catching early steelhead. All the guys that are running skein, the steelhead aren't really touching that. But when I'm targeting salmon and running egg sacs, I end up catching some pretty early steelhead because the steelhead love egg sacs. So if you don't mind catching a steelhead or a brown trout as a bycatch while targeting salmon, then egg sacs are the bait for you. There's been plenty of times that I'm at Oswego fishing a hole and there would be a snagger upstream from me and there'd be a guy running skein below me and I'm running egg sacs drifting right in the middle. And I'll end up catching more fish that willingly bit than the snagging guy and actually getting more bites than the skein guy. Egg sacs are just a phenomenal bait, and what ends up happening is you end up hooking more salmon than a lot of the other guys, and you end up hooking steelhead and brown trout before anybody else is targeting them. If you're throwing a bait that can effectively get salmon to bite, as well as get steelhead and brown trout to bite, why not throw one bait that kind of covers all your bases? It's awesome to throw beads, they're fantastic, awesome to throw skein if you're targeting salmon, but why not throw egg sacs if you can catch everything? So overall, I think it's a great choice to have multiple or even all of these baits on hand, because if one's not working, try the other one. One of these baits has to work, most of the time. Great idea would be bring a spinning rod to toss crankbaits and spinners, and bring a center pin, full fishing setup, to toss beads, eggs, and skein. And you can also double up. What I love to do is toss like a chartreuse bead and put a pink egg sac on the hook. That way you're getting that double rig. The fish can kind of take their pick, and it's amazing contrast. If you got a chartreuse bead above and a pink egg sac below, that contrast is huge, and contrast is everything when getting the fish to see your bait and setting yourself apart from all the other anglers. Because keep in mind, these salmon and steelhead during the fall time are seeing hundreds, if not thousands, of baits when they're coming up Oswego and Salmon River. So if you set yourself apart, you're a little different, little pink, little chartreuse going together, giving that good contrast, you will catch more fish because of that Contrast, you look different than anybody else. Additionally, running a chartreuse in pink early morning, I'll end up hooking fish earlier than anybody else running just egg sacs or just natural colored beads. If I'm running a chartreuse bead and a pink sac, because of that contrast, the fish can see my bait before they can see anybody else's bait, and that will catch you fish earlier in the day than anybody else, as well as later sunset when it gets darker. I know you can only fish a half an hour past sunset and a half an hour before sunrise. Having that contrast will give you the upper hand to catch more fish sooner than anybody else. So that pretty much wraps up today's video. Hope you learned something. Give at least one of these baits a try this season. Let me know how you do in the comments below. The biggest thing is just putting the time in. I know these baits work. It just has to do with how much time are you willing to spend on the water to get these fish to bite and not just cheat the game and snag them. If you want to catch more fish this salmon season, I have a curated selection of salmon fishing gear on my website, firstlightfishingco.com. We have spinners, crankbaits, egg sacs, rods, reels. I'll toss links down in the video description. Find all the products you need to be successful out on the water this salmon season, along with the fastest shipping times. Thanks for watching, guys. See you out in the water.